Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. In previous lecture, we discussed about Nicosia model of consumer behavior. In this model, we are going to discuss Howard Street model of consumer behavior. So once again, I am starting this model along with the definition of the model. What exactly the model is? So as I told you, the model means representation of reality, and here it's a graphical representation because once you will see there are so many the graphs, so many elements are mentioned in the graph, and this is one of the most the accepted model, especially for a branded product. So basically this model talks about the decision making and how your decision making works in terms of your input and the output. So there is a proper coordination between these four important things that we will discuss later on. But the first of and foremost is this model explains the rational brand choice behavior within the constraints of the limited individual capacities and incomplete information. When we say a rational brand choice behavior, it means as a consumer you are going to take a logical decision before purchasing a particular product. You cannot purchase a product just for the sake of purchasing, or you cannot make decision in a haphazard way. This model assumes that you use your brain very logically and then you come to the conclusion and finally you purchase the behavior. But there are two conditions here. The one condition is that the consumer is having limited individual capacities. My capacity is limited, and I will react, I will behave in that particular limited capacities. And second thing is I don't have very much idea about the product. That is, I have incomplete information regarding the product. Now the how the marketer gives me information in the part of the input, how social factors plays important role during the input, and finally what the perception and the learning which I get after getting exposure, and finally the results which we get in the form of the output, right? So this model basically attempts to deal with both overt behavior and the internal or cognitive behavior that cannot be directly observed. Overt behavior is the all the efforts which you do to make a final decision. So when we say decision, basically a consumer makes three different types of three different levels of basically the decision making, so called as stages of decision making. The one is extensive problem solving, the second is limited problem solving, and the third one is routinized response behavior. When we say the extensive problem solving, basically extensive problem solving is your early stage of decision making. You are not aware about the product, or in few cases you are very much aware, very less aware about the product, and consumers knowledge and benefits about brands are very limited, or in some cases non-existent. You, as a buyer, you don't have any choice criteria. Choice criteria means you don't have any options so far. You work haphazardly that what should I purchase, like in case of mobile phone, the earlier example which I gave you, a Nicosia model, right? You want to purchase the mobile phone, but your choice criteria are not well defined, right? uh, and as a consumer, apart from the choice criteria, you don't have any specific brand characteristics, right? And you want to seek information related to the various alternative brands as well. So this is extensive. Now limited problem solving is the one stage above or better than your extensive stage, right? So in limited problem solving, basically it is advanced stage of the decision making. Here, the choice criteria is to some extent now it's a defined, and the most important part is here again the buyers are undecided about the best brand. But yes, now your options are now has been shrink now. It means when you were in extensive stages, you had so many options, but now your options has the come to means you have a limited options now. That's what is a limited problem solving. So you are only confined to the limited options. And the third one is routinized response behavior. And routinized behavior is basically here the choice criteria is well defined. Right here you have the strong predisposition towards one particular brand. Means now you are finally decided to purchase a mobile phone of iPhone, for example. I will not go for others. I will only go for the iPhone, right? So, iPhone 10, in fact. Now you do a very little evaluation of alternatives by the buyers. Like if I talk about like I gave you example of iPhone, the 10. So might be you could think about the iPhone, the 6, 6, 6, 7. All right, so you can work on that. But one thing which in your mind that anyhow I will purchase iPhone, right? So you are biased towards the iPhone. But yes, you would have a little evaluation in terms of might be in terms of the price, might be in terms of the features. So you could go for different the product line for the particular the brand. But yes, you are you develop a strong the predispositions towards one particular brand. Now when we talk about this particular model, this model divided into four important parts. In this particular chapter, only we are going to discuss the name of the important parts which have been divided into four subsequent parts. And in next my subsequent my lecture, I'm going to elaborate you this model in detail. So this model having four different parts. The one is input, the another is output, the third one is hypothetical constructs. These hypothetical constructs divided into two parts. The one is perceptual construct, and the second one is learning construct, and the third one is exogenous variable. Right. Although exogenous variable plays a little important role in in this particular model, but the input, your output, and the hypothetical constructs plays a very important role. Right. So now come little bit explanation of all the three important part, which is input, output, and hypothetical constructs. Basically when we talk about the input, input variables are stimuli from the bias environment, right? uh, when we talk about the bias environment, basically this divided into three different parts, right? One is significative stimuli, the second is symbolic stimuli, and the third one is social environment. In order to understand these three, I'm just giving you an example. Like iPhone wants to give message to wants to give advertisement for a 10. So when company gives advertisement, you see the advertisement, right? Once you see the advertisement, you develop some attitude towards that, right? And when you be familiar with your social environment, and when you get a positive feedback from the social environment, like your family reference group, or your friends, even your relatives, anyone, or a combination of all this for the same brand, iPhone 10. So after getting exposure from the advertisement and after taking feedback from the social, you develop a symbolic stimuli, right? So basically one side I'm giving you advertisement, and other side you are being exposed to the social environment, which finally results into your symbolic stimuli, right? So basically, significative stimuli is the brand characteristics, physical brand characteristics, right? And the symbolic is a visual product characteristics. In this Nicosia model, you will see that whatever comes in a physical brand characteristics, the same comes in a symbolic brand characteristics, symbolic stimuli. The reason being, whatever I want to give information in the form of advertisement, in the form of the sales promotion, in the form of public relation and publicity, you develop attitude for the same. All right, that's what is a symbolic stimuli. Like for example, if I talk about the service, so if company talks about the service, so you also develop the positive, or it could be the negative about the service itself, right? So what features that will be discussed later on. So what features come in significant stimuli, you get the same in your symbolic stimuli, right? And the social environment is all about your the factors which is being exposed through the social factors, like your family, your reference group, and your social class. Now, when we talk about the hypothetical constructs, basically this is a middle part, right? The one part is your, the input, the last part is your output, and the middle part is your hypothetical construct. You can show through with this particular diagram. So this the left side is your input, right? In input you find the significative, symbolic, and social, right? So in significative, as I told you, that the physical brand characteristics come in the form of quality, in the form of price, in the form of features, in the form of service, in the form of availability. So you will see that all the five things come in symbolic as well. The reason being, whatever I want to expose to my consumer with the help of various promotional techniques, the same are being exposed by the consumer itself, right? And the social is, already I told you, is all about the family or the reference group. So come back to the previous slide. Hypothetical construct is middle part, and these are the internal states of the individual that is being processed and interpreted as input stimuli. Perceptual constructs pertain to the way the individual deals with the information from the various sources. And I told you the hypothetical constructs are divided into two important parts. One is perceptual constructs, the another is learning constructs, right? So hypothetical is all about the combination of what you perceived and of what you learned, right? So perceptual constructs is a way the individual deals with the information from the various sources, right? Like suppose I am giving advertisement of the Mercedes, right? So I'm telling you the very aesthetic part, very important features, and how this Mercedes product is different from the others. So you develop a perception towards that product, right? So that could be from various sources, like it could be from the advertising. Also it could be from the, even the salesperson comes and salesperson explains you, right? When you go to the any any so-called fair, in fact, and then there you can also find the different varieties of Mercedes, right? So you can get information from the various sources, and it could create the important impact on your buying decision. So when we say the perceptual constructs, only this part we will discuss in this particular lecture. When we say the perceptual parts, basically this is all about uh, these are the internal state of the individual that process interpret in input stimuli. Perceptual constructs pertain to the way the individual deals with information from the various sources. Variables under perceptual constructs are attention, the stimulus ambiguity, right, perceptual bias, and overt search. Um, when we say attention, basically it is all about the opening and closing of sensory receptors to control information intake. To what extent a particular information creates a positive impact on your sensory receptors, right? Like after seeing a package of a particular product, to what extent you got attracted towards that packaging, right? So it could create a positive impact, and you could go in detail in that product after seeing only the packaging, or it doesn't create any sense of attraction. So it is attention is all about the opening and closing of your sensory receptors to control the information given by the company in the form of advertisement or various sources to the consumer. A stimulus ambiguity. Ambiguous ambiguous means basically you are not sure. It could be, the you can perceive the uncertainty and the lack of meaningfulness of information received from the environment. I can distort the information in a positive way, I can distort the same information in a negative way, because I'm ambiguous, right? So a stimulus ambiguity is all about the uncertainty, and you're not sure, you're not certain that the things will come, right? So it could create. I'm a businessman. I'm an organization. I want to give good information to you with the help of advertisement, but might be I took that advertisement in a different way. Like for example, if I say a CR cable, right? The company wants to give you a message regarding how good the product is, but the way the advertising is being shown to the public, basically it creates ambiguity. And as a consumer, you got confused what exactly the company wants to tell you in the form of the advertisement, right? And the next one is the perceptual bias. Basically, the perceptual bias is all about the distortion of information that is received. And uh, and the last one is overt search, and I told you the overt search is all about your active search for the information. Active search means yes, you want to purchase a particular product, and anyhow you want to purchase that one. So I don't have mobile phone, and it's a necessity for me to purchase a smartphone. So I will start the active search for getting information related to the smartphone, right? And the last one and the second part of the hypothetical construct is your learning construct. Basically, learning construct having so many parameters that we will discuss in next lecture. So thank you very much for listening me carefully. And next time when I'm coming, I'm going to discuss you the learning constructs in detail, and after that, I'm going to tell you the model explanation of model with examples in detail. So for that time, thank you very much.